Hello Summoners and welcome back to another ProGuides episode of Best Champions of Main, now on patch 12.3. The champions that we pick for these series are strong picks with high performance, but have low ban rates and are unlikely to get nerfed anytime soon. They are reliable picks for climbing and are worth investing your time in. We also have a series that covers the most broken contested picks in each role, so be sure that you're subbed to the channel so you don't miss out when we post those as well. We'll be starting things out in the top lane with Poppy. With all the bruiser itemization changes, the general idea is that bruisers are going to be a lot less durable, but they have way more carrying power when ahead. With their biggest risk, high reward gameplay, it's really important that you shut them down when you go against them. Thankfully, Poppy is the perfect pick for that. She may be labeled as a tank, but she's just as scrappy as the bruisers you're using her to counter. She also comes in with a built-in tool for completely smashing those opponents. Most bruisers win trades by getting in and out of their mobility, but Poppy's W completely shuts them down. Once you get a lead on an opponent, Poppy can feel very impressive. Since you're just a tank that can naturally stack armor, you can even tower dive your foe while taking practically no damage when you're really strong. If you're tired of being stuck in your current elo, the first step to climbing is fixing your champion pool. That's why we make these videos, so you can find the right champion or champs for you. After you decide on what you're going to play, you then have to learn how to play correctly. It can take many games to learn a champion, but you don't have to spend days and weeks doing it alone. Our top tier coaches over at ProGuides.com can help you figure out exactly what you need to work on. They're available 24/7, so it's never really a bad time to come try one out. I promise there's at least one that specializes in exactly what you're looking for. These guys have spent years reaching the top of the ladder, so why wouldn't you want to steal all their solo queue tips and tricks? And there's no better time than now to sign up because we're running a pretty sweet deal. Just use the discount code WINTER when you check out for 20% off your sub. Now let's get back on topic, shall we? Another less conventional tank pick that we have for the top lane is Zac. Instead of being a rough and tough scrapper from the get-go, Zac has a little bit more of a slow start. His first few levels you want to safely farm, and only really go for trades when you can land a Q on your foe. Once you get some items, his trading becomes quite a bit better, with his W giving some good damage in extended fights. Just be sure that you're picking up all the blobs to heal up a lot of the damage that your opponents are dishing out. So, if Zac has a weaker early game and can't really bully nearly as hard as Poppy, why would you even want to pick him? Well, the answer is his team fighting. Poppy is great at bullying a single opponent in the side lane, but when she groups up for 5v5, she can rarely, if ever, touch the enemy ADC without a really good flank. But Zac is able to have massive impact, with engage range from across the screen with his E, and an ultimate that can disrupt the entire enemy team. The last top laner that we have for you today is Quinn. Like most one-tricks, Quinn players will tell you that their champion is in such a weak spot, but in reality, her win rate in Plat Plus on 12.2 has been above 53%. With some small buffs coming her way this patch, she's only going to get better. Quinn's general plan has always been to win lane hard, and then use that lead to roam and affect the rest of the map with her ultimate. Now that bruisers will be even squishier, it'll also be easier to keep bullying your opponent. Taking a look now at the jungle, the first pick that we have for you is Amumu. In the not too distant past, there was a point where Amumu exploded in popularity and was one of the best champions in the jungle even in high elo, where he historically rarely saw much play. As time has gone on, he's once again become a rarely seen pick. But you're really sleeping on a pretty broken pick by ignoring him. He still has a really high win rate with just over 55% in Plat Plus games. You can pretty much ignore the nerf that he's going to be getting on this patch. It's almost entirely being put in the game due to his interaction with Zeri. Prior to this change, Zeri's Q would literally do nothing to Amumu. The second pick that we have for you is Vi. While her win rate has gone down in the past couple of months, her performance has remained one of the best in the role. One thing to mention is that her exact best build is still up in the air. Standard bruiser items will be good on her, but will result in more damage and less durability. If you're playing for picks, this is good news, but if you're diving into 5 champions, you may want to beef up a bit, with purely tanky items like Randuin's, Force of Nature, or Stoneplate. The third jungler that we have for you is Nocturne. The buffs that he got last patch have been treating him pretty well, and he's become one of the best assassins in the game. This patch, things are going to get even better. Nocturne's biggest weakness is that, like any other assassin, if you're building him to blow up squishies, he usually doesn't do so well when you go for bruisers. They can literally survive your front-loaded burst and beat you in a longer drawn-out fight. But with bruisers getting a lot squishier, you'll have more assassination targets, making Nocturne strong in a bigger variety of situations. Next up for the mid lane, the first champion that we have for you is Zoe. Zoe's the type of champion where, if you're good enough, you can win any lane. It's just a matter of constantly weaving in your Qs and your passive procs to whittle down your opponent. One big word of advice is, against aggressive opponents, hold your sleep trouble bubble. If you just throw it out, you're giving them a window to go in on you for a big trade. If you save it for their engage attempt, you can just put them to sleep, get some distance, and hit them with a massive Q before you walk back to safety. The next mid laner that we have for you is Fizz. For me, anytime Fizz is in the meta, he's my go-to ban. His laning phase just feels so impossible to punish, with his E giving him insane safety. And to me, that's just not really fair considering how hard he carries in the mid game. He doesn't even have to be fed. A Fizz that's just doing okay can still make a game-winning play by one-shotting the ADC. Hell, even some beefier bruisers are in danger of being taken out in a single combo if they get hit by a max-range shark. And if Fizz is fed, he doesn't even need his ultimate to make picks. I've seen a Fizz delete an ADC with a Q and W alone, only using his E to hop over the wall and escape after. Like I said, when Fizz is in the meta, he's my go-to ban. It feels like there's just never a really good answer to him, since even if you counter him in lane, he just somehow manages to get fed by roaming or in early team fights. And then when he gets into those fights, he demolishes them. How about you? Our question of the day is, what's a champion that you always ban when it's in the meta? Let us know your answers and why down in the comments below. Now let's get back into the video. Our final mid laner for today is Ahri. It's worth noting that the change Ahri is getting on this patch isn't the typical blanket buff that you're going to be seeing for a champion. Instead, it rewards those that are already good at her, which to me is the exact type of buff that Riot should be going for every time for champions that have decently high skill caps. Getting more ultimate charges as you score takedown shifts Ahri from magey assassin more towards being a mobile burst mage. Moving things down to the bot lane, the first pick that we have for you here is Tristana. Tristana's buff last patch may have seemed pretty small, being just 41 extra HP and a microscopic buff for her regeneration, but her win rate has jumped by more than 3%. Riot's explanation for this buff being just a little bit of HP was that Tristana already did plenty of damage when she could get it off, so some more HP means more chances to do just that. Well, obviously they were right. She's super strong, and as we've said many times in the past, when Tristana is strong, she's one of the most absolute best picks for solo queue. The reason for that is that she combines being super strong in lane with extremely high scaling due to her range later on into the game, and to top it all off, she's incredibly self-sufficient. She's by far the best ADC for keeping herself safe in a fight, with her having a resetting jump and self-peel thanks to her ultimate. The second bot lane pick that we have for you here is Twitch. The biggest misconception that people seem to have about Twitch is that since he's a super hard scaling hyper carry, he must be a weak, vulnerable laner. But that's not the case here. Yes, his lack of mobility does leave him susceptible to kill lanes, but that's pretty much any ADC when you have an incompetent support. But when your support does know what they're doing, Twitch's laning strength is pretty good. I'd even say that Twitch is the one that can very often punish an opponent's mistake. They'll fight you for several seconds, even standing in your W until you get a fully stacked E and massively win that trade. Our final bot lane pick here is Brand. Despite support being a general go-to role for Brand, he kinda sucks there. But when he's the one that keeps the farm, Brand actually does pretty well. One of the changes that he's getting this patch is a mana refund mechanic when you kill minions, so it seems that Riot is pushing carry Brand over support Brand even further. Their goal is probably to make Brand a stronger mid laner, but just like we saw with Veigar last patch, this is definitely just going to make Brand a super strong bot lane pick. It's a little bit early to say it just yet, but he may even belong in our S tier. To round out our list, we have our supports, starting with Bard. Honestly, I can't remember a time where Bard wasn't at least good. He seems to be permanently somewhere between the S tier and the higher end of A tier. The thing is, Bard's super high skill cap means that there's always something that you can offer to your team. He can bully lane, play more reserved, or sack lane entirely to roam. His portal and ultimate also offer very unique opportunities that no other champion can. Maybe your jungler needs a flank, but doesn't have the time to walk all the way around. Portal works for that. Maybe your mobile ADC is in danger of being cornered in a fight. Again, portal them away and the danger doesn't exist. The only limits Bard has is your creativity and your ability to use his kit. The next support that we have for you is Velkas. If you really want to stomp the bot lane, then generally, support mages are the best way to go, and Velkas is a really solid example of that. The main draw of picking a poke-heavy mage like this is that you largely avoid the 2v2 aspect of bot lane altogether. You shove hard and poke harder, and avoid any chance for an actual direct fight. This eliminates those situations where your ADC builds a slowly increasing lead, only to be hooked or otherwise engaged on, entirely throwing that gold lead that we've established over the past 6 minutes. Outside of lane, even on a support's budget, Velkas is a lot more capable of putting out massive damage in fights. In fact, like most mage supports, it's not that uncommon to top the damage charts at the end of the game. Finishing off our list, we have Sona. If you prefer to play early game safe and just try to scale up her fights, she's absolutely the best pick for you. No champ impacts 5v5s as hard as she does. She may not be particularly flashy or exciting, but the constant spam of heals, shields, and movement speed increases as well as a damage amp really adds up fast in a teamfight. And her power chords can even have a huge impact as well. It can be easy to turn off your brain and just thoughtlessly spam everything as it comes off cooldown, but you really want to try to apply your power chord with effect from your W. The damage reduction is huge and can completely negate a carry on the enemy team, especially a diver or assassin going for your backline. And that's it for our top 3 champions to main on patch 12.3. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure you sub so you never miss out on our meta guides and you're always in the loop on what the best picks are. Remember, let us know what champion that you always ban when it's in the meta in the comments down below. And one last thing, don't forget to check out our Discord in the description box below, where you can go ahead and discuss League further or just hang out and be part of our community. Also come by and say hi to me, I would love to chat. Anyway, I can't wait to see you guys back in the next video, but until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.